talk about Icebox real quick. Petra, you are a Sage enjoyer as we take a look at this, and we're going to see a Sage on the side of Fnatic.
Oh, more. That's nice. I don't see enough Sages on this server. I would like to see 2 of them. I think Sage Wall is pretty useful, especially on defense. If you keep it in your pocket for a little bit, the retake is pretty easy.
Is there a comp you prefer out of these 2?
Well, I'm a Sova fan as well.
Oh, of course you would say that. Of course you would say that.
I mean, yeah, both comps are very good, and Tejo on this map is also unmissable.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Heretics decided not to go for the tech and swap things a little bit out. But I think that is still going to be very, very effective. 3 out of the 4 teams that we have in playoffs have decided to run this Gecko on Icebox. Fnatic doubles down also with Kayak on the stage. We were speaking about it and how impressive it was last time that we saw them play the map when he was on this agent. From the defense, maybe on Fracture he was not spectacular with the operator. I really hope that that changes for this first half. And on the other side, I hope the Heretics is ready for it.
Yeah, there's plenty of odds on both of these teams at this point on Icebox. Fnatic, Mitch and Tom are 1 map away from another grand final.
Well, this is where they belong, isn't it? Fnatic at the top of the EMEA. We've seen it many a time before. And often it is Heretics they have to get past. Last time in stage 1, they failed to do it, but now just 1 map away. And you know what, Tom? Icebox, you said it in the last map. This could have been a mistake for Heretics, and coming off the back of desolation like that on Fracture, it very well might be.
Yeah, I think you look at like the results of this stage and you go, okay, 3-0 for Heretics, 0-1 for Fnatic, and you go,
right.
Okay, so you pick that map, but you understand the history that's on this map. You understand that that defeat was a very, very close defeat to Team Liquid, who again, like historically have been very good at this map. And then more so, you look at the fact that Kayak went, I think it was 27-17 while playing a Sage, and you go, okay, you get 1 or 2 other players stepping up alongside him, and this could be a very different story. Then you add in momentum. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, the Battle Sage, it really was a treat to watch last time. We'll see if it's going to be the same again here. Team Heretics on the attack to start us off, but it's Fnatic who are taking some space, some ground. The 2 being pushed, but Heretics are ready. Benji, Fishy watching that alongside Boo, and they'll find the opening pick as a result. They even suspect that he wasn't alone, but Crashies bides his time. Unfortunately, Alpha's isolated. He's still alive. 1 shot left. And he'll be executed from behind. Does well, though, to find his 1 there. Still a disadvantage for Fnatic.
Alfia playing yellow and only getting 1 kill. Can't believe it. Thought he'd have at least 2. Boaster under serious pressure. Wingman can get the plant in, and well, that gives the space for the others to push. They've spotted Crashy's flank, and both players on Fnatic completely isolated. Both pistols went their way in the last map. It got them that extra little bonus of a start. And well, maybe this one still has some legs in it. 2 quick kills.
Where has this hope come from? Oh, the stun perfect, though. Chronicle going to be caught out. Rianne's the one to take him down, and now Crashy's all alone. And they're lined up. The high-low setup almost isolates 1. The shot's not quite landing. 4, 3, 2 bullets left, and he's out. The reload they'll swing on, but that's a mistake. Unfortunately, time is too far gone at this point. Woot pulls it across the line with 1-0. It's the first pistol of the series for Heretics, but not the first time they've gotten off to a good start and a half.
Yeah, I'm actually quite excited to see Woot playing this Gecko as well. I think it's worth noting that obviously a lot of the duelist players have kind of just gone, I'm going to play Teo because I can just place util down. And I don't know, at times I feel like it doesn't work for him. Whereas I look at a Gecko, okay, sure, you have to plant, but you have a little bud to do it for you. Sure, you have to flash, but you can flash for yourself. Like, there's a lot of very aggressive things that you can do with a Gecko. That's why I can think of a duelist main or 2 who just swapped to that and started playing it on his streams.
A second ago, I said that it was a great stun. I think that was Chronicle's own wingman from down below that stunned him. Because in the kill feed, there was no assist for Rianne's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but his utility belt doesn't do any stunning, so that's a little bit unfortunate. It might even be through the floor as well. I'm not sure I've seen that before with that kind of height to it, but wingman, a very effective buddy, I suppose, although this time not for Chronicle.
Maybe wingman just too strong. Maybe that's the
Wanted to help out Woot.
Hey.
You got confused.
Everyone wants to help out Woot. For Benji, you look back to his previous performance versus BBL, a 14-12 overtime 26 and 16. He has been in form, especially in recent times. With the space he's taken, the team are actually going to rotate in to execute alongside, of course. Okay. Yeah, just spam him out. That's fine. Boast that wrecked. Not going to be able to do anything with his extra util to delay. And the rest of the team, Mitch, they're not particularly close.
No, they're not. Miles away, in fact. The weaponry certainly not favored for them. Post plan for Heretics set up well.
Are they watching for a lurk? I think they're both watching to see if Benjamin Fish was going to be coming in from behind.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad way to pick up even just that ghosted advantage. Start to then box them in the post plan. But Heretics not quite so brazen in this one. It's 5 players, tucked passive, late play from Rienz to wrap around, see if he can pick up. Because you're getting the sense here they're going to go down to the spike, right? He wants to get ahead of that, find a couple of orbs for himself. Miniboom successfully lands an orb at least.
That's the rifle.
Indeed, the rifle, although it won't be recovered by the other side, it certainly won't be recovered by Heretics.
That was the only Phantom that they had. So that kill was actually quite costly. A little bit irritating to lose that and for Miniboo to be the last man left behind. But
oh, here it is. Thank you very much, EBS. Yes, it was. His own wingman got him. That's criminal. That's criminal. Look how far away it is. Outrageous.
Why is there no self-assist? You were betrayed. I'd love it. Someone needs to edit that where the wingman's eyes just goes red. Evil wingman has entered the server. Heretics with a little help from a little friend. For now, though, their buy definitely has a piece or two missing. They're going to have dropped another gun over to Miniboo. Not having the best of times on the previous map, but if this season is anything to go by, he's going to have a response. A 2-0 start. I'm off of Fnatic. This is sort of a must-win round. Otherwise, we could see Heretics just run away with it.
We've seen Heretics do more with less, even just in the previous round. Or previous map, I should say.
Drone is down.
Fnatic with their rifles in hand. I've already sensed that presence towards the A site. The drone gone through and met some opposition, met some resistance, but Heretics, I think, are playing this as a fake. Drone and flash go up. Players spotted, noise still being made, but now the rotation back around to the B site, and indeed, because of the space taken, front yellow watched by Benji, back by Boo. It's not been abandoned completely.
30 seconds left.
There's a jiggle peek coming in through mid, and I think that with no execution of that utility, that fake was not the greatest sold. No one's really fallen for that, but there isn't much in terms of denial. They've already used some of that extra utility, and instead it's a slightly different plant. But Wingman's been dropped 12 seconds. Now that attack side has to get moving. They need to move forward and get somebody to try and plant that spike, and the fights are not going their way. Still yet to find a plant, and within the last second they're going to attempt it, but there are players peeking in. The plant will go down, but Kayak is quick to make sure nothing comes of it.
It comes damn close to being a successful round. Kayak's healing himself back up there, but he was tagged pretty low. So was Boaster. And even those 1 or 2 extra picks coming across the line, they bring big value to Team Heretics in a round like that. So they definitely, considering the A site fake really didn't work out. I mean, you still had killed really close with Util. You still had Viper there as well.
They threw a Dizzy in, everyone rotate.
And a drone! Oh no! Not even a fast lane committed.
10 seconds later, no one here. No, he's still here, guys. Come on.
Might be. They're freezing. But yeah, it was a good read, I think, as well from that defensive side to not over-rotate, to stay in position. They get the reward, and they don't lose too many players.
They rotated the other way. They were yeah, that fake didn't fool us so much that we're actually just going to go B now, lads. It's also just the util denial. They had so much available to just make sure there was no safe place to plant. That is the value of those salvos especially, but nano swarms, snake bite as well. It is a lot that can deny. And that's something that Heretics are going to have to be very wary about. Even having the wingman doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get that plant for free. And without having that trusty Sage wall, it can become tough.
Obviously a pretty intense read on this peak coming through middle. You can see that it's a high-low setup late into the round. They put pressure on B. They show tail so that hopefully somebody goes for that mid-aggression. in the end, it doesn't really come through. You could consider what we just saw from Chronicle there, kind of.
But look at where they pushed to, though. Like, Benji just got killed from a guy all the way up, deep in towards that A side of the map, but luckily there's been a response. Again, the goal on this side has always been to delay, but Minibu has decided, you know what, I'm not going to give them that opportunity. I'm going to try and get up in their face. Plant will go down. Armageddon a little bit further up behind, was hoping to force them forward, but with the space already taken by Minibu, they weren't too wary about it. Still looking to hold on to that backline. Kayak is the snake in the grass, the second layer to this rotation, and it seems like at this stage the attack are completely unaware that there is another player coming in from behind.
They have no idea. And now even less so, looking for that retake, looking for the fight. Alpha, 8 HP. All hope may rest on Kayak's head, but he manages to find one. Alpha buys that little bit of space. The wall not quite lasting as long as it needed to. Woot getting involved early on. And a third round now for Team Heretics. The early half, again, looking favored towards that attacking side.
The thing is, I really like the sort of isolation of Benji. I think they've realized how tough it is for him to just sort of hold on to that much of the map, and having a player push mid and then aggressively on A. It came down to the finest of margins.
Woo, bro, you're the goat.
Really solid
Good
work
job,
from
guys.
Woot to actually win that round home, because I feel like if you look at how it was actually played, I'd probably have favored Fnatic there.
I think I'd be with you. Kayak's flank could have had so much more value, but a few early peaks by Heretics get them across the line. Pistols for Fnatic, a light buy across the board. And it's Alphier, Marshall in hand, the biggest investment, bar the Stinger, I suppose, for that defense. It's managed to draw blood early, still so much to worry about, and in particular, the Outlaw in Minibu's hands, a double barrel operator in effect, with nobody having heavy shields. Everyone is squishy. Everyone's a free kill, but he's got to land his shot. And now he's down to just 50.
Yeah, we'll get some of his health back. Live to fight another day, and Minibu's being left behind. It's mainly, again, because this secondary lurk, this additional player of Boo, has taken a lot of space over on that A site. The problem, though, is that they are losing members. A 5 versus 3. Drone from Crash, he's just waiting, knowing that there was a guy on the other side, and now I'm going to just try and slow them down as the full force of Fnatic looks to rotate into this side of the map.
This could be a strong start to the attacking side, but they're being chipped away at by Fnatic early on. A chance remaining for the defensive side, an early flank yet again. Guess who it is? Kayak wrapping up behind, hasn't been spotted. And there's presence being shown by Fnatic, but they haven't committed just yet. Those weaker weapons, hesitant to take the fight. Will Heretics worry about their back in time? No, they won't. Kayak strikes, picks off the first. They're managing to hold the line against the onslaught from Spawn. Kayak, the man with the rifle, buys time, grabs their attention, and Crashies takes them both out with plenty of time for the defuse, and the orb given towards that Armageddon. Fnatic are back on the board with a pay-safe card Thrifty.
Again, it comes off a little bit of individual brilliance to start, but then just being able to isolate those flanks. That's happened multiple times where, well, firstly, that shot's just absurd.
Come on.
But the second they realize that Benji is gone, they go, okay, well, we can now flank. We can get in behind them without too many issues, and I do feel like that's happened a few times now, where Heretics are just a little bit too unaware that, okay, we've lost our Sentinel. We need to be aware of it.
100% with you there, Tom. I think that is the biggest downfall of that attack side in those 2 rounds we saw. The one that came close and this one here that fell, that crumbled. Kayak's being allowed to wrap behind them. Benji going down early. We can't see that repeated too many more times.
He's also being targeted. I think that needs to be said, because it's not just like, oh, Benji's having a bad game. Like, he's getting. No, they're actively looking for Benji so that they can have those flanks. So it's great work from Fnatic, and something that Heretics have to adapt to.
Yeah, it was the A push that managed to find him earlier, and then just a mid-hold. This time, the push from A is in Heretics' favor. They're running it down towards Kayak. No flank this time. He's dealt with after 1, and Heretics finding these close-range 1v1s, XV1s, in fact. They've managed to recover themselves some rifles. And look at the space on B.
Yeah, this has been another thing to talk about, is that the amount of space they've been able to get on B at times has been intentional, and there's been just util thrown into delay. But this round was just a single rifle for the side of Heretics. And Minisboo's done incredibly well. Like him and Benji both finding a pick, both getting rifles for Benji and Woot, and then the space that's been taken on the other side. Because it looks like an eco direct hit into A, they now get the post plant that's been eluding them. And Fnatic now have to try and clear everything else that remains.
Man, Boo's been so patient. He waited in this corner with a classic, hoping that there was someone close enough by that he could punish. And in the end, he's forced back by this lockdown. Won't have his reward, won't be able to get back into position either. The snake bite, though, lands in time to delay. Buying that little bit more time. Oh, it's actually a little gap in it. They'll walk right past it, so a little bit more space taken. Boaster closer than expected already, wrapping around on yellow. Those recovered rifles now in with a chance. Alpha baits them into the open, takes down the double. Boaster with another, and the round falls into Fnatic's hand just about. The wingman working hard to defuse that spike as they now equalize it in Fnatic's form, 3-3.
Yeah, really nice retake. That didn't look like it was going to go in their favor, but Miniboo low and then being able to trade out Woot without too many issues. It's a round where they fight from a two-man deficit to get back into position. And probably the more worrying thing for the side of Heretics there.
This is Benji in my pocket. Fish.
But yeah, I was going to say the more worrying thing is the fact that 2 ultimates went through there for Heretics. So you start off the round, you're not going to put too much in. You go, okay, we'll invest into that singular rifle, try and do some damage. And rightly so, when it got close, they go, okay, we'll use the Thrash, we'll use ourselves the lockdown. But then you still end up losing the round. So that cost has come up quite a bit more hefty. And even though the scoreline still sits 3-3, I think maybe getting some flashbacks to the last map where you had a decent start, it's looking good, and then Fnatic just start climbing back into the map, and for Heretics, you just can't really afford that right now.
Alpha's getting involved in some of those early fights, and you saw it there on the stage. We mentioned it in the first map as well. When he's getting confident, when he's smiling, when he's cracking jokes, that's when he's most dangerous. Had a phenomenal map going into the previous. And
when
now
he's angry, he's also very dangerous, though.
Absolutely.
You have to say, like, I think it's only if you ever see him sad, that's when you're like, oh, he's going to have a bad game. But I don't know if I ever have.
No. But yeah, you've seen him now. Said Benji's in his pocket. Said those early picks. It's allowed Kayak to wrap up behind in the important rounds and the big ones. As you've seen here, 2 big teams when it comes to getting those early advantages. Something that Alpha has contributed heavily to so far in these first 6 rounds.
Yeah, I think this is when you look at the best teams in the world, you expect their 5v4 conversion to be very, very good. If that stat was bad, I think it would definitely be an anomaly for teams that have made it to international events, and we are hoping we'll compete at them. Here comes the TikTok plays from Kayak. A cheeky wall put into position, and you're not going to expect it. That Miniboo gone already. And there's not really anything he can do about that. You'd have to pre-fire every single angle on the map to find that kill.
Yeah, I think that boost has been around almost as long as TikTok. Kayak happy to take it out here. You haven't seen it for a long time though, right? Just with the lack of Sage being put into play. Sure, we'll get the one around mid a little bit later on. For now, that one was more than enough to find the early advantage. Hunter's Fury thrown through. Chronicles desperately low, but he dodges both blasts that come his way. The op, although it's looking for the pick, it won't find Wingman. The plant in play.
This is clear.
Crash. Oh, it's got a lot of space and forcing the fights as they're out in the open and put in the dirt. 4 rounds now for Fnatic and a flawless round that they get it done on.
Yeah, that's got to be brutal. Like you, as the opponents, you take a tactical pause. You come in where you have an ult or 2 of your own to play with. You try and get back into the game with the coaches, and then an in-zone flawless comes through seconds later. That's got to be a bit more of a backbreaker on the other side of things, because obviously it didn't start the way they wanted to, but you look at players like Kayak just thriving. Like we talked about this when it first came in. Like the Sage has always had its value in terms of that sort of like, okay, you could utilize the wall, you can have the slows to combine with other utility. But the AWPing Sage is not something I don't think we've seen that much of, unless it's just like, hey guys, we don't want CNED just to play Jet every map, so we'll have CNED on Jet for once. It's like,
Yeah, the CNET Sage basically still a jet. Just
Like,
without
I
the dash.
tried to dash and it didn't work. I accidentally pulled out my heel.
Well, Crashies has also got his claws out. Boaster's feeling jealous of his duo on the other side, picking off Benji. He's now in Boaster's pocket. This is a round where Heretics don't have a lot to play with. The Viper's Pit, well, it will allow them to get close with the pistols, but their HP decaying down. Not too favorable of a fight.
He gets the salvos back online. There's going to be a lot of low HP players. They have ults to play with if this even gets close. They have a res. Like, it's looking like a brutal scenario. I think you can see the defense maybe starting to question if they've gone back in the other direction, but Miniboot immediately falling. They do manage to get the plant down. There's not really been any other positive to this round so far.
Yeah, textbook attempt by Miniboot to go running up onto rafters to take that Viper out of the pit. You know it's the spot they're likely to be in, but it's a different story altogether trying to take that pick. Rience, well, he was in a good position outside of the pit. Unfortunately, the wingman caught him, got onto his tricks early on, and that will be back-to-back in-zone flawlesses for Fnatic. Now, Heretics didn't invest a lot here, but what this does to the defender's economy is it bolsters it down. It gives them a lot of cash in the bank to fall back on. And with a 5-3 lead, with a lot, I would want 5 out of the last 6 rounds going in their favor, this is now becoming an uphill battle for Heretics in a map that they absolutely must win.
Yeah, there's few teams that I think about when I think of playoffs form. Maybe throw a crew in the mix with LCQ form, put them down because their group play.
They don't know what to do, bro. They actually don't know what to do.
Their group play is normally a little bit different, but Fnatic definitely have that. It's like you see them play in the group stage. The series wasn't particularly close, went in the favor of Heretics, 13-5, 13-10. And right now, after a 13-6 victory in the other direction, they are being pressured. Miniboot desperately searching for space to hide in, and while he might have found some space, but his teammate Imrians did not.
Well, he's been picked off early this round of all. You know, if this happened in the last, you'd shake it off. It's whatever. Benji going down in that early fight, who cares? You got pistols, at least you get the ground as they fall back after the engagement. This time, though, an ult for an opening pick. And Heretics left without Rience, left without that drone, that recon that could be used to clear out this position. The op in play for Kayak, lined up, waiting for an opportunity. And with 50 seconds on the clock, they're going to have to give that opportunity soon. The flash ready for Woot. Maybe that will push him back. If it doesn't, they may be in a 5v3 very soon.
And time also becomes an issue. 2 slows and the wall available. They're walking straight into that crosshair, but Miniboot is going to find the trade. At least it's not another flawless. We're not getting the 3-beat of its own flawlesses, but that's a bit of a silver lining.
Okay.
Benji's done well. Chronicle down. Still the salvos coming into play. Crashy's got to be the most irritating Teo to play against. With the timing, Woot has found some space. Unexpected, not known, but Alfia quick on the trade. In fact, he'll find both. It looked close for a second or two, but with the form that Alfia is in, it's not looking like close for long.
No, and as well, like I said, Crashy's getting his claws out in some of these previous rounds. Momentum well and truly in Fnatic's favor. Now 6-3 after a 3-1 start. It's feeling like deja vu going back to Fracture. Rience stepping back just a little too far. The snake bite forcing him to be a little more cautious, but mistake made and quick reactions by Boaster to trade out Kayak after that opening pick. Indeed, a second pause coming into round 10. Heretics are fully panicking. They're in spiral mode.
Boo currently 0-8. I wonder if that is just a product of things going wrong, like having to try and call, micromanage, pick up different things. But this is what happens when you show Fnatic a trophy. Maybe one that doesn't look like a bucket. They decide that it's worth fighting for. Because right now, they are tearing them apart. You mentioned Crashies. I feel like the toughest part of playing against him is that he's doing damage when you can't see him. Like, I think we've talked many a time about who the best Teo is, and I think, like, you could put players like Sociable in that list in terms of just how many numbers he's going to put up individually. But I think if you're talking pure utility, like, who's the most annoying to play against, And I think it has to be Crashes at number one, because every time you try and plant, he always seems to have his salvos at the exact right moment. The cycling of that utility from him is just sublime. And then if you deal with everything else that's going on, you've got Kayak and Alfia who are just popping heads.
Yeah. Oh, Benji's got the longest name in VCT EMEA. I think Serial's old name would have beaten that, but we'll leave that there. 6-3 for the Fnatic side. It's been wonderful to see them on this kind of form. Playoffs form indeed. Upper bracket final right now, and the grand final seemingly locked in. Big changes needed, but Heretics call a pause to seek out those answers. Another opening duel for Fnatic. This time, punished quickly and cleanly.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Just making sure that he's not going to get away with too much. Clearly feeling like those light shields are in play for Heretics. Kayak has got the right read with that Outlaw in hand. And just look how much space they've got already. Now this time at least Benji is alive. So the turret should give them that contact. Although they've already spotted it. With how much space they've already managed to get, you can see that the Fnatic players are just waiting. They don't want to give the game away just yet.
Gonna let them fully commit their hand so they can't turn back. Here goes the ult, and now the flank from Fnatic shows it's full hand. One player goes back to deal with him, but there's actually two players on the flank, and they find out the hard way. Benji at least able to pick off Chronicle. The players now are waiting on site. I say players, it's just one. It's Boo, isolated. But he has managed to fly under the radar. A free pick on Boaster and Alphayer. Here's the round they needed. Even the lockdown committed and denied. Kayak, you've been sublime so far, but a little more needed. There's the pick and the res, and that brings them right back into the round.
And you finally managed to deal with Alphayer, and someone brings him back to life. Counter lockdown. Going to be put into play. The round's so much more important than anything else. Alfia actually looking to try and play ahead of it, and he'll be dealt with by Rienz. And while there's not a lot of time left, it won't matter. It takes a second pause, but there is a response. A solid individual round from Boo as well. I think that's now him onto the scoreboard for the first time in this matchup, but it wins them a round.
Yeah, it was a surprise play. It was him sneaking his way through. Fitting that while he's busy leading the team and forgetting about his own individual performance, it is the cerebral play that gets him on that board. I was worried there in the end, Tom. My heart skipped a beat. Seeing Kayak, 2 shots, loaded into the Outlaw, 2 opponents, low HP, below that 140, and they both swing him. He had a chance, and he fired at them both. Neither shot landed. Heretics get themselves around as a result. Alpha, he's avoided a mesh of bullets sent his way. Heretics finally back on the board, and it's not too late to finish this half on equal footing.
No, we've seen them versus both Vitality and Apex have incredibly clean defensive, 6-1 after getting enough rounds on that attack. So let's not pretend like this is over just because this half has been fairly firmly in Fnatic's favor. This A site has been a struggle. A lot of it has come down to delay. The amount that can be slowed off nano swarms, snake bites, salvos. But they are a little bit earlier than what we've seen in a lot of other rounds.
I think they're very ready for it though. Look, there's 4 players already on this site, and they are trained in on that position now. As 2 fall, they think it'll be a little bit more free, a little bit more open, but Heretics, well, they couldn't be more wrong. Left with just 1, he's on the ropes quite literally, as Fnatic put to bed the 11th round, 7-4. A lead at the half, now guaranteed. The question is, how big will the lead be?
Honestly, their B-side defense is fantastic. Like, I'm genuinely enjoying seeing, because every time they're walking into this utility setup, but the goals change for Heretics each time. It's like, okay, this time we're going to try and get aggressive. We're going to try and play around it. And Bosa just puts a snake bite right in their path, so anybody that clips it gets stuck. Then behind that, you see the Mosh go in so that they can't stand in that ground anymore, forced into a new position. Then salvos come in as well. So it's just like, it's constantly having to shift and move everywhere you're going. And while you're doing that, Alfia is peeking you. So it's like, there's not really much more you can do.
Now, there's a reason you're seeing everybody here. You've got a Viper's Pit alongside a Hunter's Fury to work with. The Pit is the main thing. Look at the space they got in the previous round. Look how close they got to the site as Fnatic didn't look for those early fights. Instead, waiting for the wall to fall and taking the battles after. That means to Heretics, they can get in there. They can get that Pit in play and lock down that control, leaving their utility passively to cover their back from Killjoy. This could be a very dangerous round, and a couple of spams, the only thing really standing in Heretics' way. And the fact that they are taking a long time. I thought by now we'd already see them in there, but they're waiting outside of B. I don't know if this is going to work the way they hope it will, as Fnatic still have 4 players close by.
I think also having the drone, also having Wingman as well, that's important. A quick pick, but still all of that delay utility is in place. 30 seconds. Now the Mosh comes through as well, that they're having to just wait out so much different pieces of utility that a Risk could do it all. Hunter's Fury thrown in to try and find some damage as the Wingman goes for the plant. I don't know if it's going to plant. No, it's not. It's failed. And now they're stuck again. They have to go pushing. They have to go moving. Minimu lands a second shot, though. He might just be keeping them in the round, but there's the swing. Spike dropped once again. With 7 seconds left, Chronicle, all he has to do is try and drop it one more time, but he will die. So it doesn't matter in the end. Your heart might skip a beat, but Heretics do get the job done.
Oh, they put the Pit in eventually, Tom. Jeez, they waited a while. How many fights were Fnatic given? Luckily, in the end, it falls into their favor, 7-5 at the halftime. Heretics have clawed their way back up to a close scoreline. The second half will see their defense. Somewhere we know that they're strong, but if they fail and falter here, that's the lower bracket run started. Fnatic, 1 away. We'll find out how it goes after the break. Welcome back, folks. 7-5. Fnatic leading the charge and looking good on pistol rounds in this series. Heretics, well, they better hope they can connect another one here, as that early start on this map is really all that makes this a close affair. It was 3-1 in their favor, but Fnatic made a streak of rounds, bringing us up to this 7-5 halftime. But for Heretics, Tom, you alluded to it earlier, or well, not really alluded, you said it straight, and as it is, Heretics pretty good on the defense.
Yeah, at least in their victories versus Vitality and Apex, they were very good on that defensive side. And I think the difference, though, today is that I think Fnatic have done really well to sort of disorientate them. And well, just look at the immediate rundown. Heretics not feeling the burn just yet, as they will run it straight into their opponents. There's a lot of counter utility being put into play, though. Still opportunities to try and fight this back, although has somehow managed to completely dodge that stun. He won't dodge the bullets, and what was a great start quickly diminishes into a Fnatic advantage.
I think we're going to see Chronicle having some stern words with Wingman after how it's gone for him in the pistol rounds. I don't know what's going on.
You stun me through a floor, and then you don't get him when he stood there.
You look him in the eyes and you say, I know you. I'll let you away with this one. You're my buddy. Well, a 3 versus 2. A good recovery by Fnatic, and they managed to find Benji coming up behind them. Not deal with him completely. Make him a bit modest with 70 HP remaining. He'll back off. The world is Fnatic's oyster. For Team Heretics, they've got to gamble on where they think the hit's coming in.
Sana.
It's patient stuff. Not wanting to overface, not wanting to gamble. Still having the
30 seconds left.
orb available as well. And now slowly making their way towards the A site, which is completely open. Nobody even remotely close. Eventually the realization has to come through for the side of Heretics that they are on the wrong side of the map, and you mentioned it, how critical this pistol will have been. And now we look at Mini Boo and Benji and see what they can do with it.
When it comes to pistols, Heretics have usually been pretty good. But here, Fnatic definitely upping the challenge a little bit. This 3v2. Everyone tagged on that attacking side, but they've got the numbers. And the unknown factor, the positions having to be cleared, swinging out from those corners. Fnatic with a third pistol in this series. And you know, I say Heretics have been pretty good. They're #2 in the region, right behind BBL, who we talked a lot about how strong their performances have been. So for Fnatic to step up to the plate here, it is a big deal.
Didn't their pistol stats take a pretty big hit recently, though? Were they?
BBL, yeah.
They lost a lot of them.
Still #1.
It says a lot about how good they've been in those sort of scenarios. We'll see if that continues later today. What's the qualification match still coming up? This one.
Nice, Alpha. Good job.
It's all about getting in towards that grand final. A chance at the trophy. Damn, nice shot from Mini Boo, but again, the first kill might go the way of Heretics. But the second and the third go in the other direction. Boo has picked up the mantle of his brother, trying to do that little bit more. Some nice shots, but the round still looks favored. The man against them, though, maybe the last man you'd want to come up against here.
He's up close, he's ahead of the curve. He's taking Crashies down, runs for the hill, and makes it round the corner. Plant will come through. But a real chance now. Only the one swarm grenade in play. And Rienz, I like the idea. The big wraparound he's going for. Hoping to catch his opponent off guard.
Classic.
He may well catch him off guard. Look at where Alpha's going. He's so focused on this path, on even it being a side push, but now he's spotted him. What a shot! What? Rienz connects 2 to the dome of Alpha Year. And while the pistol round may not have fallen into their favor, the pistol of Rienz brings this round back into Heretics' pocket. Unbelievable!
All I'm going to say, well, the Red Bull clutch, but more so, that's got to be the easiest bundle on planet Earth to sell when your players are doing stuff like that with it. That's just utterly ridiculous. And I said it in the moment, there is no one else you want in those clutch scenarios with how solid Rienz has been individually. It's just ridiculous.
And that's the right click. That's the right click.
What about the left click?
That was a left click.
Well, the first one was the right click.
Yeah, the up close battle. I don't think he quite would have been right-clicking Alpha from there. Now, Fnatic have come through, 2 rifles in play. Those players playing the pistols have a chance to buy back up here. And they'll put their money on the line early on, not wanting to see that lead dissipate, not wanting to see Heretics 1 round away from them. And they'll still have money for the next. Don't worry about that. It's not the biggest risk ever, but it gives them a huge opportunity. The opening pick already there is Kayak with another Alpha, returning with the classic onto Woot. And all of a sudden, this round that had little to speak about in favor of Fnatic, just 2 rifles, now they've got 4. And there's only 2 rifles for Heretics, only 2 players left standing.
Benji's held the line at least for a little bit. He's managed to find a gap, but the trade was never going to not come through from that position. It now leaves Boo a gap to run through, but almost seeming like suicide if he was to try and get through that gap, knowing there's going to be somebody either to the left, to the right, or up above. And at the moment, it seems like the majority of them, the wall's at least giving him a gap to try and find around, but he's hoping for a fight. And just look at where Fnatic sit. They are all back passive, waiting patiently for a single tap to come through. And guess what? Those salvos are online once again. Crashies always so irritating in these scenarios that time is ever ticking, ever falling. And for Boo, I feel like at this stage it just has to be the retreat. And I think even the Fnatic players are starting to realize it. Look where Crashies has got to. He's just trying to stop him getting out of there, wants to remove that gun, and that's exactly what he'll do. The knife in the back, the thorn in the side. Fnatic, I've got 9 on that attack.
Taking the small advantage of that earlier economic decision, bringing in 2 rifles, finding the opening pick, arming to the teeth. Alphayer, the man, top fragging, tied up with Crashies. Even finds one with a classic. Here it is.
Maybe it's just a Turkish thing. Then again, I say that, but Chronicle was always very good with it.
Oh yeah, listen, you see,
He's Turkish in spirit,
Where are you going, bro?
And they did. It was Woot going in to try to fight Kayak. Oh,
That's one of your lineups, right?
oh, shut up, Tom. All right, listen. It happened one time in ranked.
Oh no,
man.
sorry.
Let it go.
It's one of Scott's.
Look, stop coming for the Irish, Tom. I don't like it. Scott would never co-sign that. In fact, I reckon he's already writing that down in his notebook. Double digits.
Gonna give
now.
him a stern high five after this game.
Yeah, it's going to be Scout with Boaster and Chronicle with Wingman. Big talks to be had. 9-6, double digits now, looking probable for Fnatic. And you got to say, Tom, great course correction after that. Little bit of a bump in the road in this half.
Yeah, a little bit. I'd say it was a big bump in the road, but then I guess somehow they've used it as a ramp. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Mini Boot, he's been struggling this game, and just look at the amount of utility that's being put in. They knew exactly where he would land. And yeah, the hero gun has ended up as the zero gun. Nothing found. A lockdown to force any players off this site. You had the stack. You had the players in the right place at the right time. Unfortunately, you gotta run.
And that was it. That was the worry. 3 players tucked in, ready for the fight. A real chance for Heretics, but the lockdown wisely put into play by Alphayer here, leaving Fnatic with double digits almost assuredly. The question was, would it be flawless? And in zone, we'll be sad to see it isn't, as Boo is the last one standing, picked off Chronicle. Still though, Thrash online for the next round, double digits secured, and Team Heretics on that familiar scoreline of 6. It was around now, Fnatic just ran away with it, going back to Fracture. We may see the same again. 4 players alive, big economy round as well for that attacking side.
10-6. A completely different story. We did not need a replay of him throwing that into the barrier.
That is cruel.
I've already been mean enough beforehand. Don't need to double down on it. Shout out Scott again for the lineup.
All right, listen, Tom. You're on thin ice now, man. You're on thin ice.
They're winning rounds, that's fine. 10-6. Ultimates building up the Heretics, but starting to question if it's too little too late. Armageddon for Crashies. They've had so many set plays around this. Whoa, he tries to run away. Oh, it's damage. They even had a Salva that goes behind. Rians is just trying to dodge every single piece of utility. Memes already being made on Twitter to prove like, Valorant, how difficult it could be to play. He does survive though, but well, his teammate has not. In fact, Rians didn't even last long.
Man, now Woot's looking the wrong way again. It was Kayak to distract him last time. This time, he's the one surprising him. And either way, this has got to be a save. Look, they're already backing off. They're already giving up that control towards the B site. Boo and Benji look to hang on to these weapons, and how quickly that round fell apart. And Tom, you're exactly right as well. It's not just the fact that you have this ult coming through, but behind it, you've then got a nano swarm and the salvos to block them in. I mean, those players were under so much pressure, and they struggled.
The one gap.
The tiny gap. And immediately on the way back in, Fnatic, they're finding players trying to regain a spot to fight from, trying to regain control, and they go right in to the flood of Fnatic. The flood of that attack side wipes them clean from the board. Looks like they'll save their weapons at least, but it's a small solace.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about Fnatic with these sort of setups is that they are aware of the space. Like, they know exactly, they go, oh, we've done this amazing execution, and if they don't get a kill from it, they're not going, oh, I guess there was just no one there. They're going, okay, there was a gap here and here, so we're going to now execute into those positions and make it more players who have managed to survive our util. Like, it's just such intelligent play, and we talk about Heretics and these explosive compositions, the individual brilliance of players like Miniboo, Woot, and they have been really struggling throughout this matchup so far, not been able to find that same value we've seen all season. Like, you talk about Miniboo being the highest ACS player. But he hasn't been in this game. Boo, though, will at least start things off with an opening pick. And that's Kayak gone. So the res won't be used. Unfortunately, you can't bring yourself back.
That is 2 rifles, though, for Team Heretics. Boo has 1, Benji has the other. The rest are sitting down with pistols. Space taken, but spotted. And on the way back, he's dead. Dead to rights. Good spam. Good opportunity to recover a weapon. Boaster tries to be the thorn in the side, but they've abandoned that control. Heretics with a 3 versus 5 in their favor. 3 weapons as well to work with. This is all that they need. And I like this. Immediately you see Miniboo back off from that fight. He doesn't need to risk it. Just spotting for the info.
Trying to make sure that there's no gap to be had. You've also got the deep alarm bot, so even though it might look like B is open for business, that will give enough information. That's why Benji hasn't gone any further forward, wanting to make sure he stays within range. This might roost them a little bit, though. If that push-up will come in, they'll destroy the U2, and immediately, look at the rotation. Look how many people have just started running the other way. The problem is how much time can be bought. Woot needs to just try and get 1 here, and he doesn't, but there's a Hunter's Fury on the other side, and that will do the job. That will clear everything out, and Boaster's late flank, well, it's too late.
Whoa, he almost gets taken down there by the Sheriff. Rian's going back for more. He'll be dropped. Another point towards that Viper's pit, but another round for Team Heretics, pushing past that barrier of 6, somewhere they were kept on when it came to Fracture.
Wow.
And a gap of 4 rounds now. This game is far from over if Heretics can keep this form up. That was a round that they had very little to work with. And yes, the Hunter's Fury was used, but that was really just the icing on the cake. The seasoning, the main dish, though, was that opening pick by Boo, was that fight inside of Tube and the rifle recovered, and then passive play, allowing that clock to run down.
Potentially. Bit of a pace change. You see the orb is the main target. Trying to continually build up the ultimates for the side of Fnatic. When you have that Thrash in play, there's a lot of space that can be taken. The thing is, though, you look over on the A side, it's just a solo defender in the form of Riens. The gamble has been made that they'll be able to get in, and a lot of that will come down to having this lockdown available for Benji Fishy. They are confident in the retake, so the only goal really for Riens is, okay, spot, see if you can find information. If you get a kill on the way, fantastic. But it seems like the rotation from the defensive side actually coming a little bit earlier. They have made that realization.
Monster on the loose.
And a good job that they're playing that bit more passive. Thrash is on its way. It's caught 1, but Miniboo's down below, ready to pounce. Boaster gets caught in mid as well. Really nicely played by Heretics, covering all their bases, defending the man that got caught by the Thrash. And now 3 players on site ready for the battle. Fnatic walking right in to the fray. I like Kayak's spot, but no one's giving him an angle. Oh, here we go. He's up and above. He's caught them in the ult. The trade comes in quick with Miniboo shutting that down. Alpha all alone. He's been sensational so far. Gets the opportunity for 1, but with 12 seconds left, that plant has to be stuck at this time, and the flank indeed should secure this round as he runs for that safe spot. It wasn't so safe with Boo around.
Yeah, you can forgive him for making the prediction that, okay, if they put that lockdown in, probably both players are going to come from the same angle at the end and not have separate 1v1 duels. But it was a long flank that came through from Boo, but a much better round from them overall. They had a solid read on everything that was going on. Benji, this timing was everything, because that was almost Woot dead to rights as he attempted to rotate in and ends up being a pivotal factor. And although he ends up being caught, the quick reactions from those players is enough. Fnatic, after losing a couple in a row, have made the decision now that, okay, well, we need to try and slow this down. We do not want to allow Heretics to firstly get back into the game, but secondly build that momentum, start seeing those superstars that we have done all the way through the season.
That's it. It's time to get back on the horse for Fnatic. 2 in a row. Doesn't seem like much, but we know what Heretics can do when given this kind of space. Now we're seeing them make those reads. The early aggression with the 2 rifles works out. The rotations that came into play there, perfect as they were ahead of the play. And you can see the coaching staff of Fnatic with a lot to say. That's a lot of holes to plug. But when it comes to these 2 boys, it's dangerous when they're given this much time to think. We'll see what Fnatic make as an adjustment. The res online, not much else for them, but they're competing against the ult from Miniboo that despite him having a quieter performance here on Icebox, this ult has done a lot for him before. Boo as well, having that Viper's pit. It's been a slow half, but if he's playing inside his pit, it's going to be difficult to root him out of there, even in the worst of times.
There you go. In terms of win rate in the retakes,
wow,
that's where we do see the best of this Heretic squad. As I said, with the rounds they played on the defense, a lot of the time it's been utter dominance.
There they are.
We've already started to witness them build back into this map a little bit. Still a long way to go. 2 rounds needed for Fnatic to close this series. 3 rounds just to level it up.
Locating targets.
For the attack. Bit of a slower pace. They were kind of steamrolling Heretics in a lot of these early rounds. So now that there's a little bit of resistance, back to the drawing board.
Heretics are going for something different as well. The stuns go up on B. Gecko flash as well as they look to take that deep control. They see nobody and now sense it's an A play. The wall comes in from Fnatic, the utility being heard, but they're a little slow to get that plant down, and that's a problem. Heretics have now rotated thanks to that early B play. They've got 4 players in position, ready to take that space. Ult pop, I believe, by Miniboo. The Viper's pit from the attack, though, that's going to be tough to fight back through with Alpha instantly rezzed.
They were hoping to try and kill him off again. Alpha are actually now 1 away from the lockdown. He gets a pick, and that kill on Tim might actually end up helping out. Chronicle as well, just holding the line already. They're trying to get it. Actually, I think that Nanoswarm has missed. It's bounced off, but it doesn't matter. The spams have done the work anyway. And now all that remains is Boo! He's landed a multitude of kills, looking for a little bit more, but it was too much to ask. A 1v5 would have been absurd. Unfortunately, for them at least, it's not to be. And this places Fnatic right onto map and series point. And more importantly, a spot in that grand final.
Just 1 round away with 4 chances to close it out. Fnatic have come into this series looking clean on map number 1. That was their pick, but it was Heretics who chose to fight them here on Icebox. A big round from Boo, sure. A 3-piece put on the board without the use of his pit. But it'll come to nothing. It will amount to naught if they cannot find 4 in a row. It was them to send Fnatic through that lower bracket. Stage 1 of last year. Well, revenge can taste sweet. And Fnatic just 1 round away from that taste.
Might be a short trip for the lower bracket. A single match and they'd be right back into that grand final. But we know about the lengths you have to go through in those best of 5s. The energy they'll be thrown into it. And, well, we already saw this back at kickoff. Heretics thrown to the lower bracket, thrown to the wolves that were Team Liquid in form, and they did not come out of that lower bracket. Well, in one sense they did. Miniboo trying to get aggressive, trying to put some of that flair into play, but he's not found anything from it. Still sticks around.
The pit securing B, it's allowing them to rotate more heavily, and that's been sensed by Fnatic. Turret broken from down below. Nano active, just so Benji could clear below, but he's worried about someone being in tube, and he should be. He spotted the shoulder, spotted the elbow, and takes Alphayear down, ready for the rest, but Kayak bests him, and now the B site seems open, but they're not committing just to it. They've heard the steps up close. They know that there's players just outside, and use the slow to get themselves into position. The plant with 12 seconds left, the snake bite to delay, to give that bit more space, but they need to find some solid ground to fight from. Towards Snowman is where they're looking, but There's plenty of players waiting. In goes the Armageddon. It's caught one. Rienz is down. Woot forced into the open. And now the round seems to be in Fnatic's favor. A lot of ground to cover by Miniboo, by Boo. The pit falls and they know where he's coming from. They'll drop him right away. Grand finals bound are Fnatic. The first team to grace that upper spot. And they do it. Pass the test of Team Heretics with flying colors.
Yeah, in this case, Lightning does not strike twice. Switch up the map pool, switch up the picks, and they have come out on top. But let's be real, we are definitely looking at this matchup between these two as a potential grand final. I don't think this is going to stop the beating heart of the Heretics squad. But for Fnatic, they have found form. At the moment they need it most, and that is the thing with this squad. We talk about their group stage form versus that playoffs form. Now don't get me wrong, they were still decent in the group stage, but when they faced off against this squad, let's be honest, they got bodied. Now they come in, upper bracket, a chance to make it to the final, a chance to fight for the beautiful trophy we saw earlier, and that's where these players start to make the difference. And I think highlights already being made in terms of players. Althea today was incredible, but Crashies on this map, I would hate playing against his utility. It would make me so angry.
We talked about how valuable Crashy's utility was on map number 1, but his performance individually hit another level here. Those ults were connecting, those salvos were terrifying. Alpha and Kayak showing a wonderful form, and for Fnatic right now, this is the team to beat. Your first grand finalist for EMEA locked in.